Hey everyone, it's Daniel Collins here, bringing you week 7 of the West Coast Pokemon League. This is the final between Richard Holmes on the left and Alex Bray on the right. We're at Curtin University again this week. It's our second week here. And in this final you'll see Richard playing Darkrai Hydreigon deck. And I'm pretty sure you'll see Darkrai Mewtwo from Alex. It's just me adjusting the playmat so we can make sure they're in the camera and we get a good view for you guys. But if you've watched most of our videos, you'll know that Alex is doing quite well in the West Coast Pokemon League. He's made, I believe this is his 3rd final. And I think this is Richard's 2nd final, so obviously both quite good players. And we'll get underway. Both open with Darkrai. And Richard benches another Darkrai and then Skylers for an Ultra Ball, which will discard an N and a Dark Energy, and probably get a Dino out. It's just checking through his deck to see what's there. Yep, and gets out a Dragon Dino. Obviously there was a change to the Dark Dinos to start with because everyone was afraid of the secret rare Rayquaza. But since Landorus has come out, you'll see people go back to the Dragon Dino just to avoid getting knocked out by Landorus's Hammerhead. But we see Richard Dark Patch to the benched Darkrai and then pass to Alex. And we'll capture the Dino. Obviously when playing Darkrai Hydreigon, Alex having played the deck quite successfully up until today actually. Knows exactly what the strengths and weaknesses are of that deck, so he'll definitely be targeting down those Dinos to avoid seeing a Hydreigon get set up on Richard's field. But he attaches an Eviolite and just ends. And we see an Ultra Ball, a Tool Scrapper, and I think it's another Ultra Ball. Getting out a Sableye. Obviously he'll be able to get those cards back that he discards with Sableye just by that, as you see him attach, retreat, and then energy switch, which will allow him to junk hunt. I would expect probably at least for the catcher, and maybe at least an Ultra Ball. No? Okay, gets the catcher and an energy switch. Let's see, Richard uses a random receiver. And we see the typical at least probably 10 cards before you get to a Juniper, or before you get to a supporter. It's the thing with random receiver, if the player doesn't know your deck, by the time we get to the finals most of the time someone does know your deck, but a random receiver runs that risk of showing someone the cards you run in your deck before you actually turn over a supporter. We see here, this is obviously Cresselia is from the new set, Boundaries Crossed. It is an interesting inclusion in Darkrai Hydreigon. It's normally for a Mewtwo counter, because its attack for 1 Psychic and 3 colourless does 90 damage, and then has the effect that Cresselia doesn't have a weakness next turn, which is obviously 2 Psychic being Psychic, so it can one-shot a Mewtwo without the fear of being knocked out by another Mewtwo the following turn. So, and it also has the ability, I think it's Sparkling Particles or something like that, where it heals 10 damage in between each turn. So Richard has no problem sitting that on the bench. Because if any bench damage from Darkrai lands on it, by the time it gets back to Alex's turn, it's only going to have 10 damage left on it after it's healed 10 in between each turn. Just see what Alex is going to do. He's going to retreat Sableye. I think he's just worried about that Sableye getting knocked out by one of those Darkrai's that's on the bench. And we'll Juniper. No, he's just trying to save his Sableye there. It's the only one he's got out at the moment, and he's going to need it to get the resources he's been discarding back later on. You can see he's got Mewtwo, Switch, Energy Switch, Catcher, Ultra Ball, Random Receiver, and I think the middle one's an N. And so he benches the Mewtwo. And Alex is just dry on energy for the moment. I don't think he's got anything in the discard pile. But he's just burning a few resources unnecessarily here. Like he switches back into Sableye and burns another energy switch. I know you can get them back with Junk Hunt, but you can only get 2 cards back. And you're probably burning more than 2 resources a turn, typically. So we'll just see what he gets back here. I'm not quite sure he needs a catcher back. He's not going to be able to stall for anything, really. Rich is just quite happily powering up his Darkrai's on the benches, and that's what we see. We get Alex get 2 energy switches. And then pass. We see Richard Skylar for an Ultra Ball. Yeah. And we'll Ultra Ball away the Sableye and the Level Ball, and we'll get the Hydreigon, because as you could see, he's had the rare candy in his hand. And after he's shuffled, I'm sure he'll play that rare candy. Yep, so there we go. So we should see a Night Spear this turn. We'll see the retreat of the Hydreigon, promote the Evilated Darkrai, and he'll just KO that Sableye. He'll probably put 30 on the Mewtwo, as 10 on the Darkrai's pretty pointless. Yep, and that's what he does. Ultra Ball away 2 random receivers for a Buffalont. Obviously, Buffalont's come back into the format a bit. When there was a lot of hype when the card was first shown and translated, I suppose. It's basically got a built-in Eviolite with its ability Buffer, and then has the attack Gold Breaker for 3 colourless. Does 60 plus 60 more if the defending Pokemon is an EX. So with a very EX heavy format now, Buffalon has seen a lot of play, and obviously that's why Alex would have included that into his deck. We see the catcher for the Hydreigon. The only thing with capturing that Hydreigon, it doesn't really do a lot. He's not going to be able to knock it out in one shot. He's just going to put damage on it, and then it's just going to retreat to the bench, and more than likely get max potioned. If you're going to capture anything, maybe that Dark Dino, to avoid another Hydreigon being set up. But yeah, the catcher here on the Hydreigon, I don't think it bothers Richard at all. He'll have damage put on it. It won't get one-shotted. And he just shifts the energy to it, retreats next turn, and shifts the energy back to that Darkrai, and it's as if nothing ever happened. So I'd rather see that catcher saved for... Alex end anyway, so you might as well just end that catcher back into the deck and save it for a later time. Just see, a retreat to the evilated Darkrai. At least this way, Darkrai's not going to get... Makes Darkrai... well, if Richard uses Hydreigon, it's still going to be a 2-shot, but if he just attacks with Darkrai, it's going to take 3 attacks to knock out that evilated Darkrai. And we see Richard play a catcher on the Mewtwo and retreat to Cresselia. And this is the exact reason I was talking about before. This is why Cresselia is in the deck. Mewtwo in our metagame had gone out of the game for a bit. All of a sudden it came back. You've seen it teched in Darkrai Hydreigon. Now it pretty much stands in its own deck with Landorus and Buffalon. So this is why Cresselia in the Darkrai Hydreigon deck is a very good tech. It's just there specifically for Mewtwo Wars, basically. So obviously Richard has realised that Mewtwo's come back into the format, and he decided to play Cresselia in his deck. And he knocks out that Mewtwo and takes the 2 prizes. He's got 3 left, and Alex still has 6. Alex has just been devoid of energy this game. He's just had no energy on board. Every time he puts it on a Pokemon, that Pokemon gets knocked out, ends up in the discard, and then he has to burn through dark patches just to get that energy back on the board. We just see Alex Skylar, for a Juniper. Obviously realising he has no supporters for next turn, so I think people don't use Skylar like that a lot. They tend to look for an item for that turn and then realise that they're stuck for the next couple of turns trying to top deck a supporter. But sometimes it's just a safer play to Skylar for a supporter, just for next turn. And we see Richard play Juniper here. We should see him retreat to a Darkrai. No, to a Hydreigon. And capture the Buffalon. So it just seems this game, every time Alex drops energy on a Pokemon, Richard's got the catcher just to catch that Pokemon up, knock it out, and just remove all the energy from Alex's field. So even here with this catcher, I mean, he's probably going to play Juniper anyway. So this is just a it's just a nothing thing, yeah. And that's what he realises, so he's just going to Juniper. Draw 7. It's still just nothing, just a double colourless. This is still... You must be wondering where all the energy is in that deck. He's just seen nothing all game. I think there's maybe 2 darks in the discard. Nope, just one. Just one dark in the discard. And that one dark has been dark patched back onto Pokemon about 2 or 3 times now. So, we see another Hydreigon set up, and Richard attach another Dark Energy to Darkrai. And retreats into Darkrai. And we'll just put 70 on the active and 10. Yeah, there is an EV allowed on that bench, Darkrai, so 10 on the bench. Alright, we see Alex top deck the computer search. Another good card that's come out of the Boundaries Cross set. Obviously discard 2 and search for anything in your deck. What most people fail to realise, we're used to having to show the card that we get when we search with cards. All the balls and Skylar even require you to show the card that you decided to pick out of your deck. Computer search, you do not have to though. It does not say reveal the card to your opponent on the card, so you don't have to. Just draw your card and pick your card and put it in your hand, and if you don't play it that turn, your opponent will never know. Most of the time you are going to play that straight away, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, just something people might not realise with computer search. You don't have to show your opponent the card you get. But we see Alex play down his Mewtwo and attach a DCE. Plays the energy switch to the active, and then Junipers. And that looks like that's where most of Alex's energy has been, towards the bottom of his deck. And that's it. Alex just scoops game 1, realises that there's not a lot he can do, and just trying to save time. So yeah, that's it. We'll wait till they get set up for game 2 here, and yeah, we'll get back into it. I think at this point in time, Alex is second place in the points lead in the championship points, behind Kale. Rich has missed, I think, might have missed 1 week or 2. I think he's also bubbled a couple of times and missed the top cut. So just unlucky, but it's not through lack of deck build. I think maybe he just had unlucky matchups. When I got back into competitive play and started playing at Wanneroo before I created this tournament, Richard was the person to beat. I'd been told he'd gone undefeated for a few tournaments before Wanneroo, so I have a lot of respect for the way he builds decks and the way he plays. Also like the fact that he plays fast. Not that that's any against any of the players that don't play as fast, but it's always nice to play with someone who plays a bit faster. I think it just allows you to get through the game quicker, and if you can make good decisions while playing fast, then I think that's very beneficial. It allows you to, in a way, make your games longer. You get more turns in in the time limit. And I think it just makes for a more fast-paced game. Means you're always active, always thinking. So it's one thing I like about Richard's style of play. Alex, on the other hand, is a bit more thinks through his turns a lot. It's not a bad thing at all, because he very, very, very rarely makes a wrong decision. Always does the math correctly. So obviously there are a couple of reasons these guys have made it to the final table. But we see underway. Alex opens with Mewtwo and Skylar's for a computer search, and as you can see, at least he's got a couple of energy this time. So we'll see if he decides to get rid of one of them with computer search. And after the first game, whether he's worried about discarding the second. And as you can see on Richard's side of the field, he opens with Dark and Dragon Dino. And we'll see the computer search discarding a Dark Energy and a Catcher. Alex just having a look through his deck, seeing what's there. Decides to get a Darkrai. He did look at the Sableye. I probably would have gone with the Sableye there. You attach to Mewtwo. Oh yeah, he had the Dark Patch, so you could have just Dark Patched the Sableye. Attach to Mewtwo, retreat, and then Junk Hunt for a computer search. Computer search, and then next turn just computer search for a supporter, because now Alex in his hand has, I think, an energy switch left. I think that would have been a safer play. I think it would have set him up a lot better. But instead he decides to go with the Dark Patch and the energy switch to Mewtwo and X-Balls to 40. And we see a level ball for a Sableye from Richard, and the computer search, the Dark Energy and the Juniper away for a Dark Energy. And that's the thing sometimes with computer search, you just have to search for the thing you need. I know it seems, so he puts that Dark Energy in for that Dark Patch. And that's a very good turn by Richard. Just gets rid of everything out of his hand. Junipers, gets the Darkrai once. Given that active Dino free retreat, he should just retreat into that Sableye. And we'll probably Junk Hunt for the computer search. And I wouldn't expect a level ball unless that's the only thing that's in there. Oh no, the Dark Patch. Yeah. I think it's safer to get that Dark Patch, even if you just... No, he gets the level ball. With two Dinos already in play. One does have the 40 on it. And luckily enough, Alex does top deck a Bianca. But I think the safer play was just to get that computer search back next turn. Get the computer search back the previous turn with the Sableye, just to make sure you had that supporter, just to guarantee you were going to get that supporter. But lucky he top decks the Bianca, and then it's a non-issue. So he gets the Buffalont, benches the Buffalont. We might see the DC on the Mewtwo, which we do. And he knocks out the Sableye. Doing 100 to the Sableye with the Eviolite makes it 80, which knocks out the 70 HP Sableye. Richard promotes the Dino with damage on it. We'll probably see that blend in his hand. Eventually go on a Darkrai. See a level ball from Richard. I assume he might grab another Sableye. Or maybe his wireless. We did see him that he had his wireless in the first game. And that is what he does. That is what he grabs. And he evolves his bench Dark Dino. Just protect. Probably actually doesn't protect that, but he's not gonna. Alex isn't gonna power up a Darkrai anyway. I was thinking catch a Night Spear that's wireless and then put 30 on the Dino going for a double knockout, but that's not going to happen next turn unless there's a lot of energy switches in Alex's hand. But we'll see a Skylar for a rare candy. And then I don't think Richard has the Hydreigon, but he does have the computer search, so we'll probably just computer search for the Hydreigon. Yeah, so computer search. Probably this is the random receiver, and an N, and we'll see the Hydreigon. Then we will rare candy that active Dino in the Hydreigon. And then he'll retreat that Hydreigon. And then he plays down the Sableye, retreats. Max potions that Hydreigon. And junk hunts for Dark Patch. And probably the computer search. No, the max potion. Alright, so he figures he's pretty much set. Alex is saying we've got Mewtwo. There's a switch. I can't quite tell what else is in his hand. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's an energy switch in there and a dark energy. He attaches the dark to the Darkrai. I think here he just has to knock out. I don't think he has a choice. He's to knock out that Sableye. It's good though, energy switching off that Mewtwo. It doesn't leave too much energy on that Mewtwo. Just put enough on it just to knock out the Sableye. We see Richard Dark Patch to the Darkrai, and then Juniper. So he'll be able to attach to Hydrate. And we should see the Ultra Ball probably for the Cresselia here. Just to deal with this Mewtwo threat. Just thinking about it. Alright, he grabs another Darkrai. That's alright, I don't mind that. Darkrai does trade quite well with Mewtwo. If Darkrai gets it in the first attack. It's got resistance to Mewtwo, so Mewtwo's got to do effectively 200 damage to one shot a Darkrai. And that means Mewtwo's got to have 7 energy on it, plus the 3 on the Darkrai. So Richard knows that 7 energy is not going to end up on that Darkrai, on that Mewtwo next turn, so he'll just promote Darkrai, Night Spear. You also get a 30 in on that. Yeah, you got 10 in, sorry, on that bench Darkrai. And that potion. It's amazing what 30 damage, how much 30 damage is in the game nowadays. 30 damage may not seem like a lot, but just with how the attacks and HP work out, 30 HP seems to be the perfect amount just to turn 2 hit KOs into 3 hit KOs, and just that 30 damage taken off the field just can change the game. Just lets you survive that extra turn. But Max Potion taking all your damage counters off definitely completely changes the game. So that's what Richard did there. Max Potion's off that Darkrai. It doesn't move the energy. We know he's going to move that energy in Max Potion and move it all back. So we see him play down Cresselia here. And he promotes Cresselia, retreats Darkrai, and evolves into another Hydreigon. I think at this point, I think Richard's just set up. That's it. I just don't think. The only thing is both his Sableyes. I would imagine he probably only plays the 2. Both his Sableyes have been knocked out, so any resources he uses from now on, he won't have the opportunity to get them back, but he is set up 2 Hydreigons, 2 Darkrai's in the Cresselia, and 4 energy on field, means any of his Pokemon can attack at any time. And we'll see Richard Skylar for a Alex Skylar for a Dark Patch. And plays a Sableye. Dark Patches, and we'll hopefully see an energy switch. Yep, we do. And we'll see Alex Night Spear for 90 on the Cresselia. And you probably put 30 on one of the Hydreigons. Yep. That's what he does. Playing Darkrai Hydreigon, you just got to assume they're going to Max Potion, like Richard does there. You can't be worried about, do I put 30 here? He's probably just going to Max Potion it away anyway. Just put the 30 there. If you Max Potions it away, he Max Potions it away. But don't change your decisions on what your opponent may or may not have. In this format with Skylar and Computer Search, you just need to assume your opponent's going to have the cards every single time, or a way to get the cards that he needs every single time. You can't be second guessing decisions just because of what your opponent may or may not have in his hand. Just make the best decision. If you've made the best decision at the time, that's all you can do. If your opponent has the cards to knock you out or win or whatever the next turn, then so be it. But you got to make the best decision at the time, and that's all you can do. And then we see an Eviolite go on the Cresselia and then retreat to Darkrai, and hits the active Darkrai for 70 and puts 30 on the Sableye. And I think Alex is just going to have to sacrifice his Sableye here. He should probably attach to the Sableye and just junk hunt for that Computer Search and maybe something else. And I think that's what you're going to see. Promotes that Sableye. Even if that Sableye gets knocked out, it's... well, he does have that Buffalo on the bench, but Richard does have 4 prizes, so it's just 2 EXs. So if he does Sableye, if he does knock out Sableye, he still has to knock out 2 EXs. And that's something people need to be aware of when they play things like Sableye in their deck. If one gets knocked out, or even if you have one out there, don't bench another one unless you have to. Otherwise, it's just a free prize. We do see Richard catch her out the Darkrai, shift everything to Hydreigon, and knock out the Darkrai. And unfortunately for Alex, you should pretty much wrap it up for Richard. He's got 2 Hydreigons, 2 Darkrai's, a Cresselia. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. Still 4 energy on the field after discarding those 2 darks, so any of his Pokemon can still attack. Alex just has the Sableye and the Buffalont, but he will computer search for a Juniper. Doesn't look to be a lot left in the deck either. Capture the damaged Hydreigon, and then Juniper. He benches that Darkrai. I think this is pretty much Richard's game. We'll just watch it play out. I just don't think there's anything left that Alex can do. There's just no energy on his field. There's no Dark Patch, no way to get energy back on the field. We just see both players flipping through their discard, checking what they've used, see if there's any way. You see Alex is counting those Dark Patches just to see if there's any way he can make it back in this game. Yeah, and he junk hunts for the 2 Dark Patch. Richard will attach the Darkrai. And capture the active Darkrai. Capture Alex's Darkrai. And we see a Night Spear here. And obviously 30 on the Sableye. And this will put Alex on a... Well, he gets the Dark Energy. The only problem is with Darkrai in the active spot. But he does have the switch, so he could switch, double Dark Patch, attach and then retreat. Ooh, and a Max Potion. We didn't see that last game, and I didn't even see that coming, so... we saw the normal potion earlier, but that Max Potion... So we should see... the switch... a double Dark Patch... Yeah, and then the manual attachment with the Dark Energy... from his hand... Yep. Let's see, catch on the Hydreigon. And then N, so he'll N Richard to 2. And Alex still has 4 prizes remaining, so he'll draw 4. Both the players look like they have a very thin deck. Darkrai Hydreigon especially tends to draw through their decks quite fast. There is a lot of stuff they need. See Alex play a Tool Scrapper, and now he'll retreat to Darkrai and put 90 on Hydreigon, leaving it with 30 HP left and 30 on... I'll probably put it on the other Hydreigon. And that's what he does. At this point you've got 4 prizes left. If you knock out both Hydreigons, there's 2 prizes, and then it's just 1 Darkrai or the Cresselia that you need to knock out. But we do see Richard retreat the Hydreigon and move that Dark Energy off to Cresselia. This is another thing with shifting energies, either with Kling Klang or Darkrai Hydreigon. Just don't leave your energies on a damage Pokemon, even if you're retreating and you're not going to move those energies to attack with a new Pokemon, just move them off in case your opponent has the catcher. It's just a lot safer. You're not going to lose those energies off your field out of nowhere. I think Alex here might just be looking if he's got any Mewtwo left in the deck, maybe. We're seeing random receiver and turn over a Juniper. We'll probably see an Ultra Ball. Ooh. He was probably looking for another N there, given that he already had the Juniper. Now he draws the N. It's always the way. Whatever you did want, you don't get. And then you tend to draw it when you do play your supporter. Again, he's just checking for resources, what he's used, what's in there. See if we're seeing Ultra Ball. Probably going to have that Ultra Ball, that other Ultra Ball away. And then he retreats to the other Darkrai. It's just going to force Richard to have a catcher if he wants to win the game. Random receiver for a Skylar. And he'll play that Skylar. If there's a catcher, that's going to be the game. And that's it. And Richard wins. So, in 2 matches where Richard just set up. That was it. He just got Hydreigon set up really early. Managed to take early knockouts and just keep energy off Alex's field. You saw both games, Alex just seemed to struggle to get energy on the field. And Richard took advantage of that. Every time there was a Pokemon on Alex's side of the field powered up, he would catch it, knock it out, and just take that energy off the field. Obviously, Pokemons need energy to attack, so that's the main thing. Don't just necessarily be going for knockouts. If something's got knockouts on their powerful Pokemon, if something's got lots of energy on it, knock it out. That player's going to need energy to be able to attack you. If there's no energy, there's no attack coming. So that wraps up week 7 of the West Coast Pokemon League. We'll have another video for you next week. And hope to see all you guys at the next tournament. Thanks.